In the past, family history used to be so important when two people are getting married. The families would investigate each other if they did not live like in the close knit community together. They'll go all out to investigate what is this, who is this family, what are some patterns, good or bad, this, who is the father, who is the mother, and so on and so forth. And I know that as the time changed, we started to get less and less. The word I'm looking for is, well, interested in understanding a person's family history before getting married to them. And it is true that some families have become the fashioned, the weapon rather fashioned against their daughter or against their son from getting married to their God ordained partner and spouse, whether husband or wife. However, one thing that we did that was a mistake is that we threw away the baby with the bathwater. Even though it is very important, and we can see that through scriptures, that you should spiritually be able to pick, discern, choose your partner. What is important also is understanding their family history. Whether the family that you're getting into is accepting of your union or not, if you've got a conviction from God to go ahead with the marriage regardless, one of the important things, I'm not saying is the only important thing, but one of the important things is to understand the family history. And those are things that I'm now incorporating in my premarital counseling sessions. What is the history of this person's family? What are their patterns? And I understand that the person has been washed by the blood of Jesus. It is just good to have this information just at hand. Sometimes a person's behavior, even when they are renewed in Christ, they are born again, some of their fleshly behaviors or their daily behaviors that are not spiritual and can even cause fights between the both of you are things that if you understand the person's family pattern, it gives you peace. So you understand that, okay, this is not something that the person is doing to hurt you. This is a pattern. And okay, so you then now find out. I'm talking about now, these are not things that have to do with courses. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about how do they behave, how do they talk, things like that. It gives you perspective and peace, and then you know how to handle it. I'm not saying don't handle it, be like, oh, this is how your family is, oh, don't, let's not handle it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it is better to handle it from a place of perspective than to just be frustrated because you don't understand where this is coming from. I'll give you an example. So my husband has this habit of putting on the ACs without closing the windows. And I'm like, no. Anytime the light comes on, you just put on the ACs. You just put it on. Like, it's just going to put on the AC and it's not going to lock the window. I'm like, this is not right. This is not the protocol for putting on the AC. And we all know that you should close your windows, except there's a new research somewhere. I'm saying from what I was also taught as well. I've not Googled this outside of this conversation or our home conversation, but the point is the AC is just going to be put on and I have to come lock the windows, lock the door. God help me. The day I'm not around, that AC would run without the windows being locked. And of course, when I try to ask him what's going on, why don't you do that? I sometimes either you forget, or depending on the power supply at the time or the timing where they bring the light, maybe like, well, they'll soon take the light anyway. So what's the use of going through all this stress? Especially when, because we have a couple of windows in our living room. So one time we had gone to spend just family time with his family. And long story short, I saw that, some of his family members, they would just put on the ACs. I just be like, like for like 1 hour, two, the windows will not be locked. And so it gave me perspective on how I started to approach it. So I understood that this is how it grew up. It grew up seeing ACs as a coolant, not as like it's just to cool the environment. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. That is how, like that's his perspective. It's not that serious. We're just cooling the environment. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, the whole structure, the whole procedure. When I was seeing his family doing all that, just putting on the ACs, or not that they would not lock, but they'll just wait for a while before I got it. I got it. And that's a small example, but that could be causing arguments in some homes. Same thing with other, we can bring out different other examples that you just understand, okay, this is how this person grew up. And like I said, if it's not this, what I just said is not a do or die matter. Nobody is going to like die if that doesn't, the window is locked or the window is so it's not a do or die. But if yours is a do or die matter, understanding the perspective is a first step towards now trying to work on it. But you see, the big problem is that there are some patterns that once you enter into the marriage, it then now becomes hard, except by the intervention of the Lord Jesus Christ. And that is even if he asks you to get into the marriage, because there are so many marriages that Jesus has nothing to do with it. They think he does because, marriage is an institution from the Lord. But because it's the very reason why, because it is an institution from the Lord, that you should listen to him before getting into the institution. Like, it is weird the way people think. You just get married to anybody that you feel, and you just feel like, well, it's an institution for the Lord will keep me. It is because it is an institution from the Lord. That is why you should find what his will is before you get in, not do your own thing and be waiting for him to bless it. So you find out about the history of your partner. You start by asking questions. I have a book, 100 questions and conversations to ask before you get into a relationship. Because I don't know what the essence of having so many heartbreaks and breakups is about. You can understand some of these things to know if it is headed your way. Before you enter the motor, must you enter the vehicle and have an accident before you learn your lessons? Some people, why don't you? Because this is how a relationship is. Listen, a relationship is like a vehicle leading you towards a destination, which is marriage. But beyond that, let's just say a first point destination, which is marriage. But your marriage should lead you both to eternity through the works that you do, the coming together, the what you're establishing here on earth for the Lord as it is in heaven, and so on and so forth. So when I am so keen on pre-relationship conversations, and I created that book for pre-relationship conversations, it is because relationship is like a vehicle, like a motor car, like a car, like an airplane, like a jet. Okay, does that one enter? Like an helicopter, or like a boat, like a ship. The point is, it is like a vehicle. You have to know where you are going to get in and be comfortable. What many people do is they just like the appearance of the car and then they get in. They don't know the destination, whether the car is going to the ditch or the car is going to have an accident or the car is going to swim into water. They don't even know. They just, the color of the car is popping. Just like, you know what, I'll just enter. And that's what many people do with relationship, because relationship is like a car. You just enter into the car and you are lost on what it is that you're doing and where you're headed. Then you start fighting in the car starts until it crashes. Depending on what you have invested in the relationship, the crash sometimes is usually very bad. For some other people, they come up with bruises that will forever be marked on their skin. And for some others, they just come out with slight scratches that they can get over. But must you have an accident before you learn? And so these are pre-relationship conversations you should be having. You should not enter a car because it is shiny. You should enter a car because it is going to a destination that you sense and you are clear about is a destination on your same path as well. And this takes us to the conversation of understanding yourself, knowing yourself, hearing God, growing in God. Some of these things we have spoken about on this channel. And there's a whole women ministry that I'm privileged to lead where we speak about some of these things. So you have to understand this is not the time to be, I mean, you will fantasize, but it's not the time to just be seeing yourself in your wedding dress with him. It is just time to understand, is this the right person for me? And so I'm bringing this family history to the fore because it is something that seemed to be skipped. Everybody's talking about so many other things, but apart from it. And if you do not pay attention to the family, it's usually messy in the marriage, especially if the man that you're getting married to is still growing in his independence outside of his family. You can have a man that loves his family so much, but is still independent enough to make decisions. But there are different degrees to this. Some people have gotten to the 100% mark, or let's just say 90% mark. Some other people are at 50% when it comes to loving their family but still being independent as men. Some people are at the 30% mark. You've got to understand what percentage the man you're getting into a marriage with is and ask yourself if you can truly work with that mark. Ask yourself, do you want to grow with the mark while in marriage, or would you wait till it grows and all that? I'm saying this because this particular family situation is a serious issue that is causing divorces in marriages. So you want to ask what percentage, and you want to see that with pattern. Then I will just chip this in here. Give yourself time to court, to have a relationship. Stop using every relationship encounter for sex. Like, these are the issues. This is why you cannot last with a person. This is why the person is not helping you to meet you are not on the journey to meet it. You are just on the wrong course. And you are praying to God in morning prayers about the wrong course that you've put yourself in. So ask questions, observe. No. Ask questions. You start from the questions. Have a conversation. Go there. Watch his patterns. You may not get the full picture 100%, but you get some pictures, and then you start to just watch out for things. And you too, be willing to open up. This is the time where every adult should be bold enough and shameless to say, hey, I'm going to get into therapy to work on some things that have emanated from my family, because we all grew up in families and there are things we picked up, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter how self successful or how successful you think you've become, or how you've discovered yourself, and so on and so forth. But there are things that you've picked up along the way that you may not even be aware of. Some of it you may not even understand until you're at the parenting stage. Now is the time to now is the time to start finding out, because it can help you know what to anticipate, what to work on, what to watch out for, and what you guys need to absolutely address with proof. Proof. So, for instance, if you grew up in a home with domestic abuse, you want to find out. It may not be an abusive person or another, but you want to find out. if this is something that is definitely not in his value system, not even by mistake. Because there are two things that can happen to a person who grows up like in a home with domestic abuse. The person becomes so determined to not do it to not do it to any other person. They become advocates and they become so loving. Some of the people who come out from those homes are extremely loving. So you actually, it's not to say, oh, anybody from there, I don't want to know. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying ask question, investigate. We're not saying run away. Then you know if the person is right. And some people would have traits and go on to carry it to their family. So you just need to find out where he is at and then watch out if it's something you can work on. For every marriage, there's something that somebody is going to be managing. Let me just give you the heads up. And not managing like in a bad way, managing because there's nobody that is perfect. If you want to stay single, there's nobody that is perfect. So nobody is going to come and tell you what they are managing. Nobody is going to do. When I mean nobody, I mean people who do these things do it for clout. Anybody that is in a long-term marriage and all that is growing their marriage, nobody's going to come out with a mic and be saying, "Oh, these are the things that we're still working on." That's what I mean by managing, meaning there are areas. So I've had this revelation long time ago before people started languaging it. Long time ago. It's been years now. It's been years, and it was God that gave it to me. Even before I got married, though, this one is not a marriage experience. You know me, I really speak a lot on this channel from revelations, principles, and answering the questions at the heart of successful single women like you. So, but to get back to the message, what I'm saying is you have to understand and ask yourself, which one can I manage? Some people can manage a person who drinks. Like they can work. The person is a good person, but the person has some drinking problem. I'm not saying that you should go and do it. I'm just giving you examples of realities in people's homes. And it may not be that the guy doesn't love the Lord and all that, but it may be something that's struggling with, but they are working on it together. Some people may be something else. There are some things that are now hazardous, like you should not even get into a marriage. But they are different. Some people it is their family interference. In-law won't finish them with interference in their marriage and they're managing it. But do you know that there are some people before they hear they've left, they're not even going to get married into a family where the man is not the decision maker, it is all the man's family that is making. I hope you know. But there are some people in this world that we're living in this country, that are managing the situation and have managed it for years. So sometimes people may say, oh, alcohol versus no, one is not worse than the other. Two of them can be bad. Both cases can be very bad. Plus the alcohol, plus the in-law interference, plus any other one. Which other example can we give again? So there are things that is not management, like, oh, this person is cheating. That one is not management. Oh, that one is not a management issue. That one is a character problem. And if we want to measure this thing, I can't say one is better than the other, because one case is not better than the other. I know somebody, well, if we have married people watching, we say, oh, I prefer this over this. No, we're not going to do that here. We're not going to prefer one toxic trait over the other. But what I'm trying to say is nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody. So you look at the one that, okay, which one can we keep working on? Nobody's going to be perfect, but the person should be willing to learn and grow. It's not that I'm saying nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. Where you met the person 5 years before is where you're meeting. No, that's not what I am saying. Please. Nobody's going to be perfect, but it must be gradual process, because you yourself, you are not perfect. You know now. Set your heart. Set your heart. There are things too that you know that it will take the grace of God for this man to marry me in this way, because I'm not perfect in that area. But I'm willing to grow one step at a time. So why are we having expectations that are not even realistic about, and we're not keeping true to within ourselves? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope and I trust that it has delivered value to you in such a way that you go on to execute it. My name is SAGENEL. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing for over 10 years. And I'm committed to the journey of helping you meet and marry your husband. If you want more content like this, then you need to subscribe. Stay tuned. Check the description for some fantastic resources we have as a welcome gift to you, to our community. There are at least 3, so pick them and make sure you make the most of it. All right, share this video, send in your comments as well, ask me questions. I'm on Instagram at sage_nel. If you need to send me a DM, I'll see you in my next video. Will you definitely? You can see me on previous videos. There are a lot of them that you may have missed. Thank you so much for watching.